Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Oner Podcast, the podcast where we break down and review films all in one big, long, unbroken take. I'm Austin Archer, and with me, as always, is my childhood next-door neighbor and lifelong best friend,
Kramer, England.
And this one was a big one for us growing up. I think,
It
yeah,
was huge. It was okay. It was a big one for everybody growing up.
yeah.
And all the videos I watch and everything that I look at, and just like thinking and reminiscing back to it, like why were these so big?
Listen, I said this last week when we were talking about maybe doing this,
Yeah,
and I was wondering what the rewatch would be like for me. But
yeah.
I always remembered, even as a kid, being like, weirdly emotionally caught up in this
Oh,
movie. Like
totally.
it
Yes.
it like the moments where it's supposed to get me, it got me. And
Yeah.
it's still, I just watched it today and I was like, it still kind of works as an adult. And I
Yeah.
I know that there's the nostalgia factor
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
but I think weirdly the filmmakers here managed to thread this little needle that's like
Yeah.
so like, and I think that the testament of how good this first movie is that we're talking about today is that like it really hasn't worked since. Like no other
Yeah.
iteration of this, maybe this most recent animated one that came out. I didn't see it, but it got
It was
good
good.
reviews.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the cartoons I really liked, like there was a newer one that was good, but yeah, honestly, no movie adaptation has worked since, and they've made,
Live
well, 5
action.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, live a even actually, I haven't seen the animated. I didn't see the animated one, TMNT, and then so, I don't know. Anyway, it really a lot of them have not worked.
And I don't know. I think that like for me as a kid, there was something so rich about the visual world and style of this film, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
tattooed in my brain. When I
Oh.
watch this movie now as an adult, I remember every single little detail, like of
Oh, me too.
every shot, every like just the way that their weapons look and like when they stash them in their belt and like just like and I'm watching it now going like I still think that the production design in this movie is
Oh,
so cool. I think that the world of it is like as a little kid, the sewer, like the visualization of like these sewer pipes, the circular nature of them,
yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
not I watched the second one today, and they're not circular in the second one. They're
Oh,
square, and it's like cheaper. It's like it looks like they just it's everything's just like
yeah.
cheaper and less
Yeah.
cool. And having them be circular and like their little hideout is cool. And the way they get the pizza from the pizza guy through the grate and like
Yeah.
all the just them on the skateboards and these suits, as much as like you can criticize the way that the mouths move or whatever, there's a lot of mobility that the actors in these suits get out of, like they're able to like do a lot. And I don't know.
The suits play, man. The
Yeah.
suits look really, really good. I mean, honestly, you gotta commend them for making Ninja Turtle suits. Like, it looks so much better than the CGI. Like, granted, I have not seen the movies, the 2014 and 2016 or whenever they made them, those Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. But looking at the trailers, I'm like, nah, man, they don't. That's those aren't don't look like the turtles that I know. Like the
Yeah.
suits, just like they look so good. And yes, I understand that the mouths move kind of funny, but it also like gives it an endearing quality.
Yeah, we were kinda raised on Jim Henson. Like,
Oh yeah, totally.
we were raised on Yoda and, like, his mouth kinda being like,
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
we're used to, live animatronic characters whose mouths move like animatronic characters. I don't
Well,
know.
and there's so much more life in them
Yeah.
because they are real. Like I get like not to say that CGI characters can't have life, but sometimes they don't. And these ones just like there is everything works.
What
The suits work and it helps you to get connected with those characters so much more than with some of the CGI characters.
Well, I think the difference between the way that they look in these '90s movies versus the CGI look, it's
Yeah.
like the difference between ugly Sonic and then when they redesigned it and fixed it, where
Yes.
it's like sometimes going too realistic with the look,
Yes.
that uncanny valley thing or like
Yeah.
it's a weird texture look where you're like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't really like how actually lifelike they are." It almost works better when they look more like a live action cartoon.
They
So when they
do.
when they redesign Sonic to look more like the cartoon from the game, the movie plays better that way, and we just sort of buy into the world of the movie better. And these suits that they used in the '90s, they looked like live action cartoon characters.
Yeah.
Eh, yeah,
The teeth are big,
yeah,
and they're like they have, I mean, it doesn't look like a turtle, but it just the way it looks, like they have those snouts
mhm.
and they have the big white teeth. And that I love I thought the exact same thing. Like these look like live action cartoons, which makes that it's so much more believable, and you kind of suspend your disbelief. Like, yeah, there's no way that these things would be real, but there's this realism to them. And obviously they are tangible suits, and they do a good job. And just like you said with Sonic, like I can relate so much more to the Sonic that they used rather than ugly Sonic. Like the
Yeah.
ugly Sonic is like, what are you doing? Like, why are you making it look that way? Just like make it look cartoonish. We're I'm able to relate to that so much more because they can be so much more expressive.
Here's my question watching this movie, because we talked a little bit about this last week.
Yeah.
You talked about how, like, the guys that came up with this concept,
Yeah.
of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that apparently the origin story is that they were, like, stoned or something, and they
Yeah.
were just like,
Yeah.
"What if," and
Yeah.
it does sound like that. My question is, was it a cartoon or a comic strip first before
Yeah.
it was a movie?
It
Because
was.
watching this movie, you can feel that, like, thing where, like, you like, when April O'Neil first steps outside in her yellow coat, which we only get the yellow coat for a little bit of the film,
Yeah.
but the
Yeah.
first time we see her in that yellow coat, it feels like something that jumped off of a comic
Yep.
book page.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, surely the comic must have existed first, because the characters, the suits that they built just look like live action renderings of the cartoon versions of those characters.
They
And
do.
I was like, did the movie happen first and then they made like the Saturday morning cartoon, or was it a comic strip first and then
Yeah, it was a comic book, it was a comic strip, and the
mhm,
comic was actually pretty dark. Like, it also, like, it was more the tone was a little bit more
uh,
adult, I guess.
yeah.
Um, but, it was also, like, black and white, or it wasn't in color, so they just kinda had, like, those, and then they made the animation. So in 1987, that's when they made the actual show, and I think it went to 1989, and then they made the movie. So it went comic book, animated series, and then movie. But I think
Okay.
the movie is the one, as far as I'm concerned, the movie is the one that really opened the floodgates.
It lifted the Ninja Turtles brand into,
Yeah.
like the thing that was iconic for an entire generation. For our
Yes.
any
Yeah.
boys, especially of our generation, like, you remember the mask that you could buy that had, like, the little plastic turtle face, and it would have,
Yeah.
like, a I yeah,
Yeah.
loved that. Like,
Oh yeah.
loved,
Yeah.
putting on a little Ninja Turtles mask.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, so that makes sense to me, actually, that the original black and white comic strip was a little bit more dark or maybe adult
Yeah.
themed, and then they made a children's cartoon that was certainly more lighthearted. And that's what I actually think works about this movie, is there's a balance to what's going on in this movie. There's a really nice balance between tones that feel grounded and, like,
Yes.
believable, and tones that feel really heightened and cartoonish, and
Yeah.
they have just enough of each that they work together and they don't feel like they clash.
Yes.
And it's I mean, it's kinda, and again, like I talked, it's a threading the needle thing, because I we I grew up liking 1 and 2 a lot, and I, even as a
Yeah.
kid, knew that 3 wasn't very good, but I
Yeah.
liked
Yeah.
1
We
and
all
2 a
did.
lot.
Yeah.
But I got curious, and I watched Secret of the Ooze right after I watched this, and Secret of the Ooze is a much worse film, and it's
Yeah.
really interesting because it's a year later. It's like the next year, Secret of the Ooze came out, and this movie was a big hit, and it's weird because, like, nobody comes back. Like,
Yeah.
nobody in the principal
Yeah.
cast comes back. It's a new director, it's a new screenwriter, and what Secret of the Ooze doesn't get right is that balance. Secret of the Ooze
Yeah.
is like
Yeah.
95% cartoonish and
Yeah.
silly, and to the point that it's, like, obnoxious and annoying, and the jokes aren't landing and they're not funny, and then it has a little bit of, like, pathos for the characters, but it's mostly I mean, there's the whole sequence in Secret of the Ooze when, like, they go into the club with Vanilla Ice, and Vanilla Ice sings the "Go Ninja Go" song.
Go ninja, go. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just
So bad.
it's just absurd, and, like, Super
Yeah.
Shredder looks and Shredder just turns into, like, a really silly character in
Yeah.
Secret of the Ooze, and Shredder in the first movie is actually, like, a really
Yeah.
I love the whole way that they do the entire Foot Clan. They feel like a really imposing force in the first movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about this. This happens a lot. So this movie, what they did, like you were talking about, they very much did a good job of making this balanced.
Mhm.
They have enough darkness, but they have also enough lightness to make things, a little campy and a little bit lighthearted, right? But then you get Raphael, who gets really beaten up really bad, and they were able to find that balance, but they took it seriously.
And
Okay,
then
so
and
this,
he says "damn" a lot.
yeah, he does.
I remember as a kid, I was like, "Oh," I was like, "This movie's cool because like, he
Yeah,
says
he
damn."
swears like, yeah, man, he's
Yeah.
he's he's hardcore.
He says
Yeah,
it like 6 times in the movie. He's always
yeah,
like, "Oh, damn."
yeah, and it's like such a
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
but so they took this movie seriously, and they
Yeah.
did a good job of balancing everything. Now, the problem is after this type of success, um, a lot of times you'll see this in many, many franchises. They go way more kid friendly to the point of being like a Saturday morning cartoon. So this one especially. So in Secret of the Ooze, they couldn't use their weapons, so they
Right.
don't use their weapons at all.
They
And
I didn't even think about that. They literally don't.
yeah,
I
they're on
Yeah.
them all the time, but they never use them.
Yeah.
But they could, like, punch, like like, so this movie, they use their weapons. I mean, they don't, use them horribly or a
It's not
lot,
like
but
Raphael stabbing a guy in the neck with
no,
his sai,
no,
Yeah.
no. But, like, and then after that, like, it was like they couldn't use their weapons, which is really, really dumb. And you see this with Batman, like Batman 89, which came out the year before, was also very dark. They took it very, very seriously. And then progressively, I mean, 2 was a different type of movie, but
Mhm.
then, Batman Forever and Batman and Robin just became a way to sell toys
Right.
rather than trying to make a good movie. And it's like, how do people so many times just completely miss what made a movie so good?
Well,
Like,
what's so weird about this to me is how fast it was because the
yeah,
movie was a big hit,
it
and
was,
what they had
yeah.
do you would think that the move for New Line would be like, "Hey, get the same team back, same director, same screenwriter, same cast, like, everything was working for us. Let's see if we can get that winning formula again." And it's so weird to me to watch a movie and be like, this came out a year later, and the studio's like, the studio, whatever idea they pitched was so bad that everyone in the principal cast was like, "No, thanks." Was just like,
Yeah,
I'm good. No, thank you."
yeah,
And, like, that's crazy, and that, like,
yeah,
even the director, that everyone was like, "No, thanks, you can get a different team," and that
yeah.
they just went ahead with it, like, that to me is like, like, usually you'll like, see something like that after the first one doesn't quite
Yeah,
work, but it's like the reason why this spawned a franchise and continues to have movies be made to this day is because this first one was kind of a runaway hit. It was a big cultural
it
moment.
it was one of the most, well, it was the highest grossing independent movie of the time until Blair Witch Project came out.
Wow.
And, I mean, they only made it for $13.5 million, and it made over $200 million at the box office, worldwide.
I think that's the thing about this movie that I like too, even as an adult, is it does have that feeling of being like a work, like a passionate,
Yeah,
work of like the set pieces aren't huge or massive, but
no,
everything that they do have is really well realized and
yeah,
really well, like, the cinematography's good,
yeah.
and they know how to light the suits to make sure that you're not seeing the seams in the neck and stuff like that, and again, in the second one, it's like, that all goes out the window. It's like, I'm seeing, like, weird little like, they're just
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
angles on the suits that I'm like, "You guys aren't picking the angles that are making these suits play the best way." Like,
yeah,
they
yeah,
I was watching this movie going like, they're really paying attention to lighting and angles on these turtles to make them
yeah,
feel as real as possible.
yeah,
And but the whole movie kind of had that feeling of like everything felt kind of like real and lived in, and they cast actors that felt grounded. Because even
Yeah.
like the second one, this kid that's the pizza delivery kid, that
Yeah.
like he's
Yeah.
just, I mean, the kid's good at karate, and he was good in surf. He
Oh,
had a
yes.
little, he had a
Surf
surf
Ninja.
ninjas. He had a little career there in the
Yeah,
90s because
yeah.
he was he
That
was
guy.
he was really good at doing kicks and stuff, but he is a terrible actor. And you think about like the difference between Danny and him, because
Uh-huh.
Danny actually is like, it's a pretty grounded character, and the performance is pretty grounded and
Yeah.
feels
Yeah.
kind of serious. And the Danny storyline in this first movie is like, I remember even as a kid being like kind of emotionally caught up in the
Yeah,
story
yeah.
between Danny and his dad.
Yeah.
And I felt like Danny's performance, even watching it today, was like, this kid's performance holds up, and it's like
Yeah.
it's solid. But then this kid in the second movie is like, it's so over the top, it's so corny. Yeah. And that's, I don't know. It's just like the movie loses any sense of balance. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a great job with this. So,
I think it's crazy to watch it and just be like, this shouldn't work. This
yeah.
should not, it shouldn't work this well. And there's definitely things to criticize about it, but it's like, of
Yeah.
course there are. It's insane that this movie works at all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I really enjoyed watching this again. And
Yeah, it's a
then
lot of fun.
and watching the second one just confirmed to me that like, no, that was actually good, because this is bad. and,
Yeah.
and, and it's not just like nostalgia that makes me think that yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go through it.
Yeah. Let's go through the movie.
Yeah, I first of all, I think this movie is paced really well too.
Yes.
I think, and again, like the second one is the same length, and it felt longer because it's just more of a slog. Because yeah, but whatever. We start by introducing the crime wave in New York City with the Foot
Yeah.
Clan and stuff like that. And I've always liked this opening sequence that sort of
Yeah.
establishes a mood that feels like something ominous is happening in this city.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a ton of crime going on and everybody's all these a lot of petty crime though. They're
Yeah.
stealing people's wallets and they're stealing people's TVs and they're going through all the, it was I did think it was pretty funny. You know, one guy steals a wallet and then he passes it to someone who's walking the other way. And then that guy passes it to somebody who's going the other way.
Yeah.
And then it ends up with Danny and he goes and he puts it behind his back. And then some guy's hand comes and takes it. And I'm like, all for a wallet?
Yeah.
Like what?
And they're all coordinated on this. I've
Yeah, I'm
always
like, wow, you guys really went for it there.
I always like the woman that's on the fire escape watching TV, and she
Yeah.
leans into her window, and then a pair of hands come in and grab her TV.
Yeah.
It's just like the physics of it make no sense. It's
No.
just like,
No.
yeah, but I like I said, I remember every
Yeah. Oh,
frame,
yeah, me
every
too.
idiosyncrasy of this film. But yeah, April O'Neil is reporting on this crime wave, and she's sort of insinuating that it's something similar to something that happened in Japan a while
Yeah.
ago, and it looks,
Yeah.
you know. And then we see April O'Neil exiting work that night, and she's got her iconic
Yeah,
yellow
yellow
rain slicker
trench
blazer,
coat or
trench
whatever,
coat,
yeah.
and it's awesome. Like, I actually
Yeah.
wish that it was in the movie more.
Yeah,
I
me too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I will say this, there's this, and it's to set up a thing that happens later in the movie, but a rat walks across the sidewalk, and she screams and jumps up on, like, a box.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if you live in New York City and a rat walks across the sidewalk, you don't, it doesn't phase you.
Like,
Like,
"Oh, there's another rat."
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like a rat being in your house. It's just like a
Yeah.
rat on the street. Like, that's where they are.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like, but whatever. Like, they need to set this thing up. She comes around the corner to her van, which is also kind of an iconic thing from the cartoon.
Yeah.
And I did feel like in some ways watching this movie, it was like watching, like, I felt like this movie was like doing for the Ninja Turtles what Nolan did for Batman, where it's like, we're gonna
Yeah.
take the van concept, but we're gonna make it April's like rundown
Yeah,
old
yeah.
beater van, and sort of put the breadcrumb of like, this van could become the
Right,
Turtlemobile
right,
in the
right.
future.
Yeah.
If they soup it up with Kate, and they didn't wind up going this direction with the franchise, but I felt like they were establishing the van as sort of like a nod to that,
Yeah,
which I
yeah,
think is,
I
yeah,
agree. Yeah, I saw
which,
that too.
yeah, which I think is fun. She
Yeah.
comes around the corner, Sam Rockwell and some
Yeah.
other hoods are
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. She starts getting mugged and she walks in on them stealing stuff and she
I
screams, they start to
I always remember this Sam Rockwell going, "Bad timing." You know?
He was in the movie way more than I realized.
Yeah.
and it's so funny to see him. But
Yeah.
I love Sam Rockwell, and he does a surprisingly. He takes this role surprisingly seriously.
All of the human actors in the movie play their parts very
They
seriously,
do. They
and
do.
I think that's also part of what makes the movie work, is
Yeah.
that the human actors treat it like a real movie,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she starts getting mugged, and then a sigh goes up and hits out the light, and it's all dark, which I guess they had to do because they like ran out of time and they couldn't film like a fight sequence, so they just like took out the lights, and you hear all this right, and they're like, and they wake up, and all the guys are beat up, and they're like tied up.
But I think that actually works better for the
It
first
does. It
for
does.
I think it works better to be like as a kid and as a viewer, I'm like, "Oh, man, I wanna know I can't wait till we get to see them," you know?
Yeah. I
And
think
that
you could, I mean, in today's you could still have that while seeing flashes of them. Kind of like in Batman Begins when he
yeah,
first like you see the camera's really shaky and you see pieces of them, so they could have done it that way, but it does work. The
but
mystery of it really really works.
I like that the first shot we kind of see of them is them in the manhole looking, through
Yeah,
the
yeah.
crack. I will say that I didn't remember the sort of geography of this shot being that the manhole is so close to where the cops are. Like, the shot is like them looking through a manhole, and
Yeah.
it really looks like April and the cops are, like, 2 feet away.
I
And
think they
and
are.
I'm just kinda like, I how is no one like, "Hey, what's
Yeah.
that?"
What's going on over there?
What are those eyes that are, like, in the sewer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was kinda
Yeah.
like, "Why did they not block that to be a little further away?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is where we get our Raphael's first dam because his
Yes,
eye
yeah,
is
his
gone and
sigh is gone.
yeah, and
Yeah, and
he yeah.
they go in the sewer and they're all excited, and then the logo, that logo, man, is burned into my brain.
Well,
It
and
comes around. Yeah.
this music I was like, as soon as they're down in the sewer and they're all bossa nova and all that stuff,
Yeah.
I was just like, "Oh, yeah, yeah, dude,
Yeah.
write this,"
Radical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah, very, 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 very 90s. I
You
think
know,
these guys really set the tone for the 90s.
as a kid, I never really clocked Corey Feldman in the film. I just don't think I was as super
Yeah.
familiar with but like watching it today, I was just like, wow, I can't believe I never noticed how Corey Feldman Donatello is. Like it's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
he is.
Uh-huh.
I always remember that was his voice. I think just because I like Goonies.
Yeah.
And it was that one, oh, the kid from Goonies. Anyway, yeah, he was super big in the 90s, that's for sure. But
I mean, when they say all the names in the credits for the voices, it's like
it's
all these names and then it's like and and
Corey
Corey
Feldman.
Feldman as Donatello, like he's the big
He
name
is.
in
He
the
got the
movie.
and. Yeah,
Yeah.
he got the and. If you get an and before your name in the credits, that's a big deal.
Definitely
That's
in 1990, he was the biggest name in
oh
this film,
yeah. Oh,
for
for
sure.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know anybody else who's big in this movie besides Sam Rockwell, who became big
So
after this movie.
the guy who played Raphael, is
Yeah, yeah.
actually an actor that you would recognize,
I do know him, yeah. I'm
John Pace or whatever, yeah.
yeah, yeah, John I realized that after. This was like, "Oh, it's that guy?
I know,
That voice in my head has been that guy?"
I had no idea. I looked him
Yeah.
up and I was like, "What?" I was
Yeah, and
like
he's in the movie. All the actors, all the so he John Pace or Pice, I think it's Pice. John
Mhm.
Pice, Josh Pice, sorry.
Josh
He
Pace.
he is the only one who worked in the suit and did the voice.
Ah,
So he did the physical acting and the voice acting for Raphael, which again, that voice for Raphael, Josh Pice's voice is the voice that I always think of as Raphael.
yeah.
Like that's it, that's the voice that comes into my head. But he's in the movie, and all the physical actors are in the movie, but he was the only one that got to do both, I guess. So
Yeah, and then, like, the guy that played Casey Jones, who is great in this
yeah,
movie, he's
yeah,
fantastic in this movie, but
yeah,
he's gone on to have a career,
yeah,
like, he shows up in things, and I believe I've seen the actress playing April O'Neil in other
yeah.
things.
She is, yeah. But
Yeah.
nobody's really, yeah. But anyway, they have their first win and they're all excited except for Raphael, and they go down and we see Splinter and he gives them some words of wisdom, and he's like, I can't even remember what he says,
He
which
is so Yoda in this movie.
oh,
He is
he's very, very, very
that
much
like all
Yoda.
the Star Wars stuff, like even when he shows up to them as like a Force ghost later on in the
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, as a Force ghost,
it's
even though he's not even dead.
yeah. But yeah, he tries to get them to like meditate after their victory. He wants them to
Yeah.
like, focus. And Raphael's mad and he lets him know, I lost a sigh, I lost a sigh,
Yeah.
you know, but I can get it back. I can get it back. Yeah. you know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and um we see kind of like again, I think this movie is really good at pacing and really good at like establishing
Yeah.
characters because really early on we get a good idea of like, okay, Michelangelo and Donatello are kind of the goof off twins.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
and Donat and
Leonardo.
Leonardo's kind of the more serious one, who's a leader,
Mhm.
but Raph's like the moody, angsty teen,
Yep,
and
yep.
and yeah, basically they order pizza, and I like this Michelangelo ordering pizza. If you put anchovies on this thing, dude,
Yeah. He is
yeah.
very much, yeah, "Don't put anchovies on my pizza."
I do like listen, like it's very much anachronistic to the late 80s, early 90s, all of the
Mhm.
teen lingo.
Oh, yeah.
Everything about their like teenage behavior is very anachronistic, but I think it's fun. Like I
Oh,
think
yeah,
it's,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's very like Bart Simpson.
Very much, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Raphael kind of goes out on the town because he's mad and he's
Yeah,
brooding.
he's gonna go to a movie,
That
and
okay with you?
yeah, he's got a really thick New York accent.
And
Yeah.
nobody else does.
No, I don't
Everybody
you
else is
all
just like,
grew up
"We're
together.
turtles. Hey, we're tur" and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go out to the movies then. See you
Yeah.
later."
'Cause he's tough.
Yeah.
He's from New York. Yeah,
"That all right with you?"
yeah. He
Yeah.
really lays it on thick, man.
Yeah, but yeah, I've again, this like the imagery in this movie is tattooed in my head, like
Oh, yeah.
knowing that he goes to see critters. Like I
Yeah,
knew I'm like he's
yeah,
on his way to go see critters, and that's they do a little funny joke here where he comes out of the movie and he goes, "Man, where did they come up with this stuff?" And it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
talking about like you're watching a
Yeah.
movie about turtles, and
Very meta before
yeah,
meta was a thing. Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
also like I love this is like there's again, the balancing act that this movie has to do, the suspension of disbelief that you're asked to be like, this Raphael in a trench coat with a hat on is enough for him to walk around New York City at
just
night.
be a normal
And
person. Yep.
everyone, and but like, I don't know, like you just sort of go with it in this movie. You're just like, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, and again, that the balance of it is like, yeah, nobody's paying attention to him, like, I'll suspend my disbelief for that, so,
Yeah, and Michelangelo and Donatello get a pizza from a pizza guy. We have a funny little
yeah,
exchange where the pizza guy gives him the,
yeah,
he's
you get
late, so it's $3 off, and yeah,
yeah, yeah, and that they're so excited, but this, I think after the movie, he gets
yeah.
Raphael meets Casey Jones.
Well, yeah, he stops a crime,
Yeah,
and but I also always think that this is funny in this movie, like he stops these purse thieves that take a purse from a
yeah,
woman, and he stops them, and then when they try to like fight him, he just opens his trench coat and shows him his sign, and he goes,
sigh.
But it's also a thing where I'm like, I don't know, like if I'm in if I'm in New York City and some like random guy in a trench coat shows me that he's got a single sigh, I'd be like, I don't know, dude. Like I'm not that scared of
Okay,
you. Like I've got
yeah,
a gun.
yeah. And you've gotta catch up to me in order to do anything with
Yeah,
that.
or just like, "I've got a switchblade, dude. You got a
Yeah,
sigh?"
yeah.
What is that? I don't even know, but
It's
this movie
cool.
yeah, this movie just treats sighs like everyone that sees one is like,
Yeah.
"Oh, oh no, he's
Oh
got
my
a
gosh,
sigh."
he's got a sigh.
'Cause,
Yeah,
like, later April O'Neil also, like, pulls out the sigh, and it's like
yeah.
I just think that sighs are, like, it's just kind of like a dorky weapon, but when I was a kid, I thought it was the coolest thing.
It was that was the coolest weapon.
It was awesome. It
Yeah,
was so
it was the
cool.
best.
Yeah, but it's like, imagine, like, if a person that, like, you bumped into on the street pulled out a pair of nunchucks, you'd be like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, "What
"Hey,
are
you
you?"
better stop right there, I got some
"I got
nunchucks."
nunchucks, dude."
Uh, yeah,
Yeah, but, yeah, so he kinda, he throws these guys over like, they climb over a fence into Central Park,
yeah,
and while they're in Central Park, they get confronted by Casey Jones. Again, I think this movie is paced really well, like,
yeah,
the
yeah.
way that it introduces characters, and we're literally like 10 minutes into the movie here, and we're already
Mhm.
like everybody, all the principal characters are getting introduced in a really organic way.
Yeah.
And I like this first introduction between like I think Casey Jones is a really cool character in
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
I I think that and I this first interaction between him and Raphael is really iconic and fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the cricket? You gotta have a crumpet to know how to play cricket.
Yeah. Not like that, they don't. Not from
Yeah.
you. What do you got? These guys need to be taught a lesson. Not
Yeah.
like that, they don't.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's so it's that kind of like that classic. It's like what we were talking about last week with Batman vs Superman, where it's like it's the conflict of how do
Yeah.
you be a hero.
Yeah,
Casey
yeah.
Jones is kind of more of like a I'm gonna put you in the hospital kind of guy,
Yeah.
and Raphael's more of like a I'm gonna just make sure I get the stolen property back to the person you stole it
Yeah.
from guy.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And I mean, I always remember this too. He hits him with the cricket bat and he flies over and then he flies into the garbage can. And Casey Jones runs off and he's like,
this
he,
is yeah, one of 2 times when Casey Jones hits somebody with an item in this movie and they fly through the air.
yeah. Yeah.
I also like when Casey Jones goes when Raphael's hat comes off and he looks at him and goes, "What are you, some kind of punker?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I hate punkers, especially weird bald ones with green makeup."
Yeah. Which again, like, how would you ever think that that was just makeup? But whatever, it
Yeah,
goes into
w
the disbelief.
yeah, yeah, but it's also like, why would you assume that it's a 6-foot sentient turtle?
Yeah, that's very, very true. Why?
You know?
Yeah. Are you a turtle? Yeah, that would be even more weird.
Yeah, I kinda like that this movie puts us in a like, again, the performances from the non-turtle characters are grounded enough and, like and done well enough that we believe these characters and we believe their reaction to what they're
Yeah.
seeing and stuff, and the most heightened performance come from the turtles, as they
Yeah.
should,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're like cartoon characters in a real world.
Totally.
Um, but then, yeah, we go to, basically, like, yeah, Raphael loses the fight, Casey Jones runs away. We go to the next day, and it's like April O'Neil is, getting ready, and her boss shows up to her apartment because he found out she got mugged the night before,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's got his son Danny with him, and so we realize, oh, April's boss's son is this, like, this kid Danny he's in with the Foot Clan, and,
Yeah.
uh I thought this was interesting too, like Danny putting the headphones on and his dad being like, "See, that's what he does. He puts his head in those things when he doesn't wanna listen to me." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Man, there's always been something like this." Like, there's always been, you
There's
know
always it's the teen thing.
Yeah,
The teens never change, just
yeah,
the technology or just whatever it is to use to stop listening to your parents.
yeah. To, like, just add it, but or I think maybe before this too, we get a look at, like, the hideout of the Foot Clan briefly.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not sure, but
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. I can't remember exactly, but,
I'm pretty sure we see, like, the kids going under the fence and at some point and
yeah, I think after they get beat up, they go in and we kinda see, um and we see the henchman guy. I don't even know what his name is, but he's Splinter's or I mean, sorry, Shredder's, like, right-hand man.
yeah.
I think that's when we are introduced to him and
Well, and Danny's, like, working on, like, an assembly line, like, there's a bunch of
yeah,
kids,
yeah.
like, unpacking
That's
things
right,
and
yeah.
yeah, and that's how so we know Danny's, like, working with them, but then, yeah, Danny steals some money out of April's purse and, April, her boss is trying to tell her to, like, lay low.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, she goes and talks to the police chief who, this guy, this actor is the only actor that returns in the second one.
Oh,
It's
is he really?
so I was like, "So this guy's the only one that was like, yeah, I'll do it.'"
Yeah. The police
Yeah,
chief.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I like this sort of like adversarial relationship that he has with
Yeah.
her. "Miss O'Neill, get in here." You know, "You telling
Yeah.
me how to do my job?"
He's like he's yelling. Yeah.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the guy pulling the cables, wrapping the cables, I always that's the weirdest off-scene thing that just like has burned into my brain. Like I always remember that. And then she comes out and he's like, "Oh, minute 15, new record." She's so excited.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally, and yeah, that I was always like, "Yeah, who is that?" But
I don't
then,
know.
I think he works I guess he's, like, maybe one of her cameramen or something, and
Probably.
yeah, but she's the thing with the conflict between her and the police chief is that she's trying to get him to look into her theory about the Foot Clan, and
Yeah.
he doesn't wanna take it seriously,
Yeah.
and he kinda wants her to shut up because she's making him look bad on TV,
Mhm.
and so what we see as she's leaving is Danny being arrested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Danny's been arrested, and, then we do have a scene at some point, like a quick little scene where he calls, her boss, and he's like, "You got a kid named Danny?"
Yeah.
And basically he's gonna tell the boss, like, "You tell April O'Neil to shut up," or,
Mhm.
but yeah, she's reporting on it, and basically, like, while she's reporting, we see that the Ninja Turtles, they're like, "That's the girl we saved," you know? I
Yeah,
always thought it
yeah.
was kinda weird that they have a crush on a human woman.
Well, I guess there's not many female turtles around, so
Yeah, I just
but yes, it is weird. It's
it
definitely weird.
yeah, it's just like, I don't like, what? Like, so they're attracted to human women? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, why not?
That
You
sucks
know?
for you guys. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of human women that are gonna feel the same way, but,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
okay.
know, there's some weirdos out there, I guess, so maybe. But
Yeah,
yeah, it is weird. They're like I think that was just more like reflecting what kids would probably think, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, so she's reporting on the Foot Clan even though the chief of police doesn't want her to, and they're watching it, and also Shredder's watching it, and Shredder
Yes.
basically says, "Find her,
Yeah.
silence her," and, sends his boys out to go silence her, and then we see April O'Neil on a subway platform, and she's been
Yeah.
followed by Raphael, who's trying to get his Psy back from her,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I always like I again I this guy's voice, and I don't even wanna do it because I don't
Yeah.
think I can do the accent. But
Yeah.
this guy that's like, "We have
Yeah.
a message for you, Miss O'Neill," and
Yeah.
he opens his hand and then smacks her. But again, like, this is the darkness of this
It
film
is.
because
It
nothing
is.
like this would happen in the second or third one,
No, no.
where a gang member would, like, open his hand slowly and then, like, smack a woman. Like,
Yeah.
that's that's the kinda stuff, like, the grit that's in this movie that
Yeah.
gives the cartoonish buoyancy
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Michelangelo and Donatello, like, some grab like, it gives
Yeah,
the story some weight and
it
stakes.
does. Yeah, and I like that April, like, doesn't take it. She starts fight well, she gets out the sigh,
Yeah,
which is kinda like, "Oh, no, she's got a sigh,"
yeah,
but she doesn't take it. Like, she's a pretty tough person. She's starts hitting people with her purse and everything,
mhm,
and then this is when Raphael comes out,
and
and
this is kinda the first time we see one of the turtles really in action,
yeah.
and he definitely, kicks these guys' butts.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll say
he
I don't know how you felt, for the most part to me, the action in this movie is, like, pretty cool.
it is.
Like,
It's pretty amazing, like, it looks good, like, it's pretty fast, and I'm just sitting there thinking, "How did they know what they were doing with those suits on?" Because apparently those suits were, like, extremely claustrophobic, and, like, they were extremely heavy, and it was hard to see, and it was hard to just, like, move around in the suits themselves. They actually filmed this at, like, 22 or 23 frames a second to speed it up just a little bit so that it would look more natural because 'cause they're going a little bit more slow,
mhm.
which is interesting, but I agree, the action, I'm like, "Okay, wow," it's actually pretty good. I mean, it's not today's standards, but for everything that they had, I'm like, "That was really" it's pretty exciting, it's well choreographed too, so it's fun.
I was thinking on rewatch that that was gonna be one of the aspects
Yes.
that wasn't gonna hold up for me, that
Yeah.
the action was gonna look more like stilted or clumsy than I
Yeah.
remember, and honestly, watching it again, I was like, "Actually, I'm so impressed with what the guys like, just like you said,
Yeah.
what the actors in these suits were able to do, like, the amount of mobility that they actually have in these really
Yeah.
constrictive suits." And you're right, I think that the choreography for the most part is pretty inventive and pretty fun.
Yeah.
Some of it is a little cartoony, but that's
Yeah.
also, like, kind of thematic and
Mhm.
and fun, I think. And there's a good balance between, like, cool ninja moves and, like, cartoony ninja moves, but
Yeah.
they're all executed pretty well. And,
Mhm.
they do a good job with, like, angles
Yeah.
and how they and sometimes they show stuff in, like, a really wide angle that, like, looks pretty good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Uh,
can see them fighting, they jump and they kick, and it looks really good.
like, I think we see them move and maneuver more than we see Christian Bale maneuver in the Batman suit in almost, like, the entirety of the Dark Knight trilogy, you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, they move really well, so,
yeah,
let's see, and April got knocked out at this point, so Raphael, picks her up and takes her into the sewer, and takes her back to their lair, and they're like, "Why'd you bring April here?" And he's like, "What was I supposed to do?"
yeah,
And
and
so
he gets followed by a member of the
he
Foot
does.
Clan,
Yeah.
which again, like, there's, like, stakes, like, the fact that she gets knocked out and he has to bring her back to save her life, it
Mhm.
just feels, like, heavier than anything else you see in any it just feels like, you get the sense that the Foot Clan are capable of murder, that
Yeah, yeah.
they could kill her, throw her in front of a train if they want,
Mhm.
and that Raphael is actually saving her life, and there's something I don't know, there's th this I just think this movie is pulling off a really interesting trick by being able to, like, balance these tones. But yeah, he gets her back to their place, and she wakes up, and this is one of those moments where, like, I think this feels a little forced in the
It
screenplay.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, because she's like once she thinks she's in a dream, which is kind of right. That's a good way to write that. But then when she's like, "I'm not dreaming, am I?" And she's like, "So what? Who are you guys? Where do you come from?"
Yeah, it's
And then Splinter's like, "I can explain." And then he just tells the story of who they are and their origin
yeah.
story, and it's like, it feels it's a little bit like we're gonna
It's
shove
it's
that in there.
it's just an exposition dump.
Yeah,
And I mean, back in that time, not many people knew what their backstory was. So, I mean, it makes sense to put it there, but it also is not. It's pretty clunky in regards to the structure of the movie,
yeah,
which most of the structure of this movie is. It's fine. It flows really well, so that's
yeah,
good. But it is also kind of structured less like a movie and a little bit more like a TV show.
yeah.
But I mean, this is probably the worst instance of it. The rest of it flows pretty well,
No,
but
this is
this is kind of out of nowhere, and it's just a dump to kind of orient everything and kind of give you the backstory, which does relate to Splinter down, or I mean, sorry, Shredder down the line. But it,
even the second time that Splinter does this in the movie with Danny, it
yeah,
makes more sense with Danny.
it
Like,
does.
he's explaining something to Danny because Danny has the symbol on his head, and he's like,
Yeah,
"I'm gonna tell you this story because you're wearing like that's"
yes,
and
that makes sense.
that makes more sense in the story, but versus this one where it's just like she wakes up in their house and he's like, "Hello, let me tell you about how we became."
Yeah. And the way he tells it is like, "Why are what?" Like, it's not like she's like, I mean, she's wondering who they are, but, like, then he explains it all. So
Yeah,
it's clunky, but also, like, whatever.
and it's
Luckily,
kind of a
that's about the only thing.
Yeah, I know. It's again, it's impressive that there's not
Yeah.
more clunkiness like this in the
Yeah.
movie. And the flashback sequences has its own little fun moments. Like it's fun to see the little baby animatronics of them, like the little baby or I
Yeah.
don't know if they did claymation
Pizza,
or
pizza, pizza.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Radical, radical.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. But yeah, so she now knows who they are
Mhm.
and she takes them up into her house, which is above an antique shop and like, they basically they're taking her home. They're basically
Yeah.
escorting her home, and I do like this thing where, like, they drop her off at her place, and she's like, "I'd invite you up to have something to eat, but I think I just have some frozen pizza," and I love Michelangelo going and,
Yeah,
like, popping
this is the cartooniness of it, which again
Yeah,
works really, really well. She's like,
yeah.
"Pizza?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
but, like, he pops up like Mario style out of the sewer,
yeah,
and yeah, and they do again, like, I think what makes this stuff permissible, what makes it work, what makes it not just, like, annoying or obnoxious or too
yeah,
over the top is that the movie has a good balance of tones. It's got enough stuff that's holding it down that
mhm,
we can it can allow space. In fact, like, I think that the problem with the Michael Bay movies is that they
mhm,
tried to go too serious, is that they tried to make it too grounded, and it's like, well, you need like, Ninja Turtles needs to have some silliness
yeah,
to it because the concept is inherently silly.
oh yeah,
So
yeah,
it needs to have some self-aware cartoonishness to it.
mhm, Yeah.
But if it's all cartoon, then it's gonna be kind of it's just gonna not really
Yeah.
be fun for adults to watch at all. And if it's too serious, then it's like it's too silly of a concept to take this serious. But anyway, they go up to her apartment and they have pizza and then they're like, "All right, bye, April,"
Yeah.
and they go back home and the Foot Clan has broken into their house
Yeah.
and stolen
Yeah,
Splinter.
Stolen Splinter. They go this was also kind of funny. They
Yeah.
go back and they open the door and Leonardo just goes, "Splinter."
Yeah, yeah,
It says it like almost
yeah.
exactly like that. I'm like,
Splinter.
that
Yeah.
didn't work.
No,
Like,
no, no, no.
that
Yeah,
definitely doesn't work.
they go back to April's apartment. She's like, "What's
Yeah.
wrong?" "Splinter."
Yeah.
Yeah. But
That's
also but you know what always got me as a kid, and it was a little corny watching it today, but it always got me as a kid, just I think it's the way that they film it, is
Mhm.
Raphael's freak out when they find out that Splinter's been kidnapped, and
Yeah.
how Raphael walks into the middle of the room, and again, it's lighting. They light
Yeah.
him in this way where, like, his eyes are, like, really dark, and he's got these, like, really down shadows on his face, and
Yeah.
then the camera is handheld, and it's moving around him in a circle in this, like,
Mhm.
shaky
Yeah,
handheld
yeah.
thing, and it just feels like it feels really distressing. It
Yeah.
feels like the
Yeah.
character is, like, having a really emotional, like, breakdown,
Mhm.
and even though it's a lot to have him be like, "Ah!" and
Yeah.
scream, the way that they shoot it and the way that they light it is, like, it's oddly cinematic,
Yeah.
for a movie this silly, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it is lit very cinematically,
yeah.
and I agree. But they go back to April O'Neil's house, they spend the night there, and then when she gets up, her boss is there, and so they've gotta, like, oh, they've gotta hide, and
I
his
always
boss
loved this. As a kid, I always loved
oh,
this.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They like, she's like, "Oh, no, you guys gotta hide," and then she, like, looks back and they're all gone,
yeah.
and it's kinda fun, we see him in different places, like, Danny sees one of them under the table, and when he looks in a mirror, and then when he looks behind him, they're gone, and like you see the Donatello's turtle shell in the shower or something, and then he goes up in the ceiling, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's kind of like a fun little hide and seek ninja thing.
Yeah, it's just sort of, yeah, showing that they're really good at disappearing and hiding in the
Yeah.
shadows and yeah, but then we go to, I really and again, like, this scene between her boss and Danny in the car is it's performed really well, I think,
Mhm.
by these actors, where this guy's talking to his son and he's like, "What? I don't get it, Danny. Like, I make enough
Yeah.
money. Why are you stealing?" And he just
Yeah.
goes, "I don't know." And he's like, "You don't know?" And it's just but it's like it's performed th just it's done in a way that's, like, got weight to it.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they stop at a red light and Danny gets out of the car and runs away. And
Mhm.
I always felt as a kid, like, this felt heavy, and it's still, like, watching it today, I was like, "This works. This
Yeah.
storyline
Yeah.
feels real. It feels,
Mhm.
believable." And
Yeah.
Danny runs away and goes to the this is when we get our first, like, really good look at the Foot Clan hideout for, like, wayward
Yeah.
youths,
Yeah.
and this is another scene that, like, this song is just tattooed in my brain. "This is what we do." It's my
Yeah.
body. It's my body. Like, this song is, you know.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
uh-huh.
I think I probably speak for both of us and for most of the kids, like, dude, that hideout was awesome. It
Yeah,
looked like so cool. Oh, I
yeah.
get to go skateboard and I get to play video games and like, wow, like this is so cool.
I'm telling you, the production design in this movie is
Oh
good.
yeah. Yeah, it's great.
Like, it's solid, and all of the locations are really cool and really well realized, and that place, yeah, where there's, like, kids skateboarding and yeah, then we get, Sam Rockwell, who's introducing some new kids
Yeah.
to the clubhouse. Anything you wanna do. Anything. How
Yeah.
about cigarettes? You want regular or menthol, you know?
Yeah. I those boxes are burned into my brain too. Like he gets the two boxes. As a kid, when I first watched this, I had no idea what those were, and I thought, "Oh, those boxes are so cool.
I thought
I
so
want
too.
one."
I thought so too.
Uh,
And ag
That's how cigarette people companies get you guys. Don't
and aga
believe it.
and again, like, this would not be in the 2nd movie or the 3rd movie,
No,
where there's, like, a
no.
bunch of teenagers smoking
And they're
cigarettes.
smoking. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, you know. Yeah, so that was like I just as a kid, you think it's so cool. I mean, it all pays off in the end because it's not cool, but the
Yeah.
area itself, like,
Go
im
play.
yeah, cool. Play. Oh man, I wish an adult told me to go and play. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my thoughts were.
But yeah, we get kind of a look at like in this place too is like a training ground for foot
Yeah,
sold
yeah.
for the Foot Clan, and we see them like training and you know the Shredder's main guy, he steps in and he fights this kid, and you know and we kind of see like the
Mhm.
relationship there. But then and like we just sort of again like the way that they do this in the movie, the way that they show that the Foot Clan is offering these kids, these dissatisfied youths, a
Yeah.
place to hang out and a place to feel like they can be themselves, and the predatory nature of it,
Mhm.
it gives the movie weight and gravitas and
It does,
like
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
they're really and again, it pays off really well in the end because they are just using these kids.
yeah.
Like, it really does in the end, it pays off really, really well.
And this so this th and this is I always thought that this scene, again, like the cinematography here, I've always been really impressed by this shot where there's a big gong goes
Yeah.
off and
Oh,
the arrival of Shredder, the
dude,
way that they light this and shoot this is really cool.
it's a
Like,
oneer.
yeah.
It starts as an over the head shot of his shadow
Mhm.
moving across the ground, and then the camera comes down and he walks in front of everybody. It comes to the side of him, and his manservant or whatever puts his
His
cape.
manservant.
Yeah, he puts his cape over his shoulder blades or what.
And I remember, like, I just that
Oh, I do
detail
too.
of
And his
revealing the
cape,
shoulder.
like his cape, looks so cool.
Everything about the Shredder in this movie is so cool and imposing and
Yeah,
scary and intimidating, and it's all completely undone in the second movie. Like,
yeah,
immediately, the Shredder the entire second movie is just like, "Oh, we gotta go get this scientist and make him make me some creatures for revenge." Like, it's he just instantly turns into
oh
a
man,
completely silly character, but in this movie, this introduction of the character
yeah,
and like the optical illusion of like how long his shadow is when he's walking through
yeah,
this doorway, and you can't tell if it's his cape or if it's his like, and then like his physical form meets the shadow, and like
yep,
you said, yeah, this
yep.
crane shot comes down, and his helmet is so cool,
Oh
and
yeah,
his like
his
everything,
blades
yeah,
on his hands and like everything is. He's very, very imposing, and then the voice that they use is also burned into my brain. And
yeah,
I don't know why his mask again, like his mask just looks so, and his helmet, everything. It's all very Darth Vadery, kind of
yeah.
just like really scary. And he's very menacing in this movie.
Yeah, and then he initiates a new kid into the Foot Clan, so we
Yeah,
sort of and again, like, it's not played like a cartoon, this is all played very serious, this is all
yeah,
played like
yeah,
this kid is being initiated into a dark cult, and
yeah,
he tells the kid, like, "I am your new father now, like, you like,
yeah,
we are a like, I'm" and he tells all the kids, like, "We are a family here," and then he mentions something about and this is, it's like where the movie kinda has a hard time with the tones, but it's also kind of funny because it's so serious.
yeah,
And then he lets everybody know we're now dealing with these freaks. And then he goes,
mm.
these turtles.
Yeah,
And and once he says, but it's important that he says turtles
yeah,
because that makes Danny go, "Oh, I just saw some giant turtles over at April's apartment." And
yeah,
Danny steps forward and rats out the turtles.
yep.
And I think this movie does,
Unintended.
yeah, but this movie does a good job of like those like the screenplay does a good job of like those implied like information and
Yeah,
cutting
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah, it does well because after this scene, um, is this when Raphael is on the roof?
Yeah,
Or
Raphael and Donatello have a fight,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. They get in a fight over what they should be doing, and yeah, yeah,
yeah, and again, like their fight is kind of serious and stuff,
yeah,
and we have a nice balance because Michelangelo and Donatello just go like fight, fight, kitchen,
mhm,
kitchen,
yeah,
and they just,
yeah,
pork rind, pork rind.
yeah,
But yeah, they get in a big fight, and Raphael goes out on the roof to sort of blow off some steam, and Casey Jones sees him from across on another roof. It's just sort of just like
Yeah.
convenient that Casey
Yeah.
Jones happens to be,
Yeah.
but he's like, "Hey, that's that guy that I fought with in the park."
Yeah.
And again, like the movement of this character as he's like doing all these kicks and barrel rolls and like, on the roof is like they get a
Yeah.
lot of mobility out of these suits.
Dude, this I loved this scene as this whole sequence as a
Yeah.
kid. Like I would rewatch this sequence over and over again because the fight on the rooftop is really cool. And I mean, Raphael's got like he beats up like the first 6 or 8 guys.
Mhm.
And he's like, "Oh, how you think you're gonna take me out?" And then like there's like 20 more, and he's like, "Oh, that's a good plan," whatever he says.
"Come
And
on, how do you guys expect to beat
yeah,
me?"
yeah,
Good answer. Good
yeah,
answer.
yeah. And there's a ton of them, and I mean, he really gets beat up. I mean, and
But the editing here is so good.
it
Like,
is.
again, like, for a movie that's this silly, it just is constantly doing things cinematically, and
Yeah,
because it's a indie that didn't have a huge budget,
yeah,
they're just being smart filmmakers about the April and the boys are down in the basement, so they can't hear
yeah,
what's going on in the roof, and we're constantly cutting between them and this antique shop and
yep,
upstairs getting beat up.
yeah.
And the way that they edit the scene is like you feel the emotional stakes of it. That it feels like Raph is being killed.
Yeah, well, because he is being beaten within an inch of his life, right?
Yeah,
And he's like, you can tell he's losing the fight, like
yeah,
really, really bad. And it's, they're kind of like talking, which again, they're kind of happy, which
mhm,
also makes the tone feel more serious because the music isn't really telling you that this is a happy moment, right?
mhm.
So it's kind of like this juxtaposition of two things going on at once, which is really great. And they're like, April's like, "Should we go find Raph?" And they're like, "Nah, he needs this is just something he does. Like, he just needs to blow off some steam and he'll be fine." And I think they're like, he'll be coming back here in no time. And then they throw him through the ceiling,
Through the
the
skylight.
skylight.
And again, it's like this is brutal. Like the
It
fact
is.
that, like in this movie, one of the main characters whose like emotional pathos we've been anchored into
Yes.
it is thrown through the ceiling, and the implication, like, immediately April goes, "Is he?" Like, to ask, "Is he
Yeah.
dead?" And Donatello says, "No, he's alive, barely."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's basically like he's basically dead, like, he's in, like, a
Yeah.
coma because they beat him so badly. And then the Foot Clan comes down, and again, the movie does a good job of never, like, staying in one tone for too long. So,
Yeah.
we've got
Yeah.
the weight of this moment, and then we have a nice little fun sequence here with, like, Michelangelo doing the nunchucks with the
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
and that's fun, and we have a really fun action sequence here
Yeah.
in April's apartment, and,
Yeah.
like, again, like, the staging of this action sequence is really cool. Like, the fact that they cut through her floor and then fall through the floor into the antique shop and have,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love fight scenes that are in houses or
Mhm.
apartments or kind of like places where you live. I don't like I think about Into the Spider-Verse when there's that thing in Aunt May's house, right? And it's
Yeah.
like kind of close quarters and you've
Mhm.
got to kind of like go around different things. There's a lot of different instances of fight scenes in houses. But this is one of those as well. Like you just kind of have fun with the area that you're in, and it also makes it way more personal because this is all April O'Neil stuff. So like,
Yeah.
but like you said, they they're like, oh, I don't think your guy should be jumping down, structurally speaking, and they fall through the ceiling, and then this music change that they have again is like. Dun, 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 I don't even remember what it is, but it's so great. That song
Yeah.
came on, and I immediately was like in my kid mode of like, oh man, this is when like I got really serious and like, oh, I pretend to fight the Foot Clan. And anyway,
Well, because it's also like they start to lose in
they
the
do.
in the
Yeah.
antique shop. So they've been kinda doing a good job up in April's apartment, and when they
Yeah.
fall, and again, like, just from, like, a storytelling point, the progression of the scene where you get to watch your heroes doing a good job, but then you start to watch things slipping out of their hands, and
Oh, yeah.
you start to watch them all losing, and it
Yeah.
gets like, you feel the weight of it of like, "Oh, no."
You do.
Like, you know
It's kinda crazy. Okay, this I might be crazy for this, but the thing that kept coming up in my mind, especially during this whole fight sequence, was The Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, I know The Matrix is way better and all that,
Right.
but, like, the lighting is kinda similar,
Yeah.
like, to when they're in the are they in the hotel? like when the deja vu happens and all that.
Yeah, you're right,
And
like
like
going through the walls and stuff like
yeah,
that, like,
like
yeah.
it just kind of is lit similarly.
Mhm.
And like, it just like also all the Foot Clan showing up reminded me of Matrix Reloaded when all the Mr. Smiths like show up and like they just keep coming and like they're totally outnumbered. So I don't know if the Wachowskis were Ninja Turtle fans, but like I kept getting these vibes of like this feels very reminiscent, or the Matrix kind of feels like
You're totally right because
yeah,
the movie does a good job, similar with like Raphael's fight on the roof, where it starts them off with like, "Hey, you versus like 10 guys or
yeah,
15 guys," and they can do that. But then it just keeps adding more, and
yeah,
pretty soon it becomes too much, and they literally crumble under the weight of it down to a
yeah,
lower level.
yeah,
They fight a little bit more and they're still doing a pretty good job, but then pretty quickly it's just like they're getting overwhelmed. And it's like I remember as a kid just even feeling like, even though it's sort of a silly moment, but like when they grab Donatello's head and start banging it on the piano, it's like that's a brutal thing to,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and like smashing cymbals on, on their heads and
yeah,
and
yeah,
like but then Casey Jones shows up
yeah.
and kind of bails him out.
Well, and everything's
And
lit on fire too. This when the
yeah,
song gets serious, they're escalating everything again. Really, really good storytelling principles, right?
yeah,
Especially action storytelling principles. Everything needs to get heightened, just like you just illustrated everything, right? Start small and then it gets worse and worse and worse. And then everything lights on fire. So they're kind of like at their worst point, right? And then Casey Jones comes in and he kind of helps them and they find this escape, this escape whatever
yeah.
route or
I
something. And
always felt like in the movie, like, how does the Foot Clan not just open that door up?
yeah,
And it always just looks like they just kind of like go like, "Ah, no."
yeah, oh darn it,
Oh no,
yeah,
you closed the door. Like, I just, like, it's like, okay, whatever. But
yeah,
like, I
yeah,
do, yeah, Casey Jones shows up and, like I said, the actor who plays Casey Jones does a really good
yeah,
job in this movie. And he's also just like cool. He's just a
yeah,
cool
he is cool,
He's a cool character. His
yeah.
hockey mask is cool,
Oh,
and
his hockey mask looks great,
it's awesome. It's so
awesome,
cool.
yeah,
I think his weapons are cool. Like, I think his like everything about Casey
yeah,
Jones is cool.
hmm,
Um, but yeah, he's sort of like holding off the Foot Clan while the turtles escape. Again, Raphael is comatose. He is
yeah,
out, and he's
yeah,
like barely clinging to life. And then all of them escape in the van. The turtle mobile, the van,
yeah,
and
yep,
they drive away while April's whole entire building is on fire, and basically her
yeah,
whole life is up in flames.
yeah,
And again, like the weight, like the what they're doing in this like kids movie to be like, this is a great kind of midpoint all is lost thing where it's like
yeah, yeah,
their dad is kidnapped and they don't know where he is. They don't even know if he's alive or not.
hmm,
April's entire building has been burned down. We found out that the antique shop belonged to her dad. So everything that she ever cared about has been burned to the
yeah,
ground. Their
yeah,
brother is in a coma and they're just driving and they just lost a fight like really bad.
yeah, yeah,
And they're just fleeing for their lives. And so it's like, when we show up at this farmhouse, it's a nice sort of like respite for the team to be like, okay, you
yeah.
know,
It really is a pretty big tone shift in this scene, but again, it goes into the emotional weight of it because April is drawing everybody, right? And
yeah,
she's kind of like giving this like, you know, everybody's handling these things differently, and when she gets to Leonardo and the shot of him just like standing or sitting next to Raphael the whole
mhm,
time,
yeah,
like again that picture, and then it fades into each turtle, right?
mhm,
And the picture of Leonardo just sitting there like waiting for Raphael to wake up, like in the bathtub, is it's pretty serious, right?
yeah.
Like it's pretty crazy. So they like, I mean, eventually he does wake up, which is just kind of, he's like, "Isn't this place got any food?"
Mhm.
Like,
What's it gotta do to get some food around here?
yeah,
But also, we found out at the end of that last action sequence too that April is fired. That her boss called
yes,
her on the
that's right.
phone, and like,
The answering machine that's hanging and
yeah,
on fire.
which
Yes,
I remember that too so much.
absolutely.
And again, it's like everything's falling apart for our main
Yeah,
characters.
yeah,
They're on the run. They have to hide out at April's house. The van doesn't work anymore. So Casey Jones and Donatello are trying to fix a truck
mhm,
that's in the barn. And I do like this kind of. I think the movie does a good job of like developing this sort of relationship with Casey Jones and April, that we can
Mhm.
kind of see there's something going on there. There's like a she doesn't like him, but you can does
Yeah, yeah.
I also love this bit of physical comedy with Casey Jones when he's on the swing and
Yeah.
the swing falls down.
I
And
was wondering if that was planned or not.
I thought the same thing. I was like, I wonder if they meant to do that or if the actor was surprised by that. Whatever it is,
Yeah.
he plays it really well.
He
He
does,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
he does a really good job of, like, making it feel
Yeah,
like it
feel
was
like
not
it's real.
planned.
Yeah.
And yeah,
But then this
um
is I mean, again, this is a good they all get together and they kinda have, like, the training montage that they almost get back to center, and then they go w who sees
Leonardo is meditating
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he hears Splinter's voice, and so he goes in and tells the guys, like, "We gotta go out and meditate,"
Yeah.
and, and then the Force Ghost Splinter appears to them.
Yes.
But again, this scene is, like, crazy emotional.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like this because even before this happened, we had Danny, who Dan after basically Danny feels bad because he finds out that like the like what happened to April and what happened to the turtles because of him
Mhm.
and stuff. And after they lost the turtles, we go back to the hideout and we see the Shredder's right hand man like beating everybody up and throwing everybody around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Danny kind of starts realizing like, oh, maybe this isn't the family that I thought it was. And he
Yeah.
goes and talks to Splinter, and Splinter tells him about who he is and everything.
Yeah.
And then points out to him that he's wearing the symbol of the man that killed his master on his head.
Yeah.
But Danny says something about his dad and how he's like, I don't think my dad really cares about me. And Splinter says, all fathers care for their sons.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
this thing where you like it like has so much like weight to
Yeah.
it because
Yeah.
Splinter is again, this movie's like dark. Like Splinter spends a
Yeah.
lot of the movie like tied to a wall with chains,
Yeah.
and he looks like he's just like barely clinging to life. And then
Yeah.
when he shows up and talks to his sons and he like gives them this really emotional message and they're all crying. It's
Yeah.
like this movie is like like
I know.
yeah,
It's again, they're taking it seriously, and I mean, watching it, I was like it didn't hit as hard as, like, when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was like, "Oh, man," like,
yeah,
"Oh, Donatello or Michelangelo's crying," like,
yeah,
"Wow," and then this one, I was like, "Okay, I get it," like, the nostalgia's there, but that's just the fact that they were willing to go there
right.
is like
There's nothing like this in the
yeah,
second movie or third
no.
movie. There's no yeah, yeah,
Like, good job of, like, trying to bring in that emotion. And, like, I mean, it's still there. Like, I get the emotion. I'm obviously not, like, crying. It's not, like,
no,
this huge impactful moment for me now, but I'm like, "Wow, that it works."
it
Like,
works.
you do it, and you take the risk of taking this thing as seriously as it should be taken. So,
For the story that they're telling in this movie, it's right. It's
yeah,
like
it
it's the
is.
right kind of emotional jolt that they need as a team
Yeah,
to to feel like it's time to go back. And that's what they do.
totally.
They show up to April and Casey and they're like, we got to go back.
Yep.
It's time to go back and we got to go rescue our dad and we got to go, kind of
Yeah.
basically face these guys again that we just
Mhm.
lost to. And so, yeah, they drive the truck back to the sewer and, they go back into their old place and they find Danny hiding out in there. And I guess Danny wants to be a good guy now,
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
was also like Danny got caught by Shredder basically, with his he was talking to Splinter and
Yeah.
Shredder caught him like throwing his headband on the ground. And so Shredder kind of like cast him out, as
Mhm.
well. And so he's sort of like a boy without a home.
Yeah.
And, I like this kind of Casey Jones thing where they're like making fun of him for being claustrophobic, but
Yeah.
also this is a very 1990 joke because he thinks that claustrophobic means homophobic. And they go, "You're claustrophobic," and he goes, "I never looked at a guy before in my life." You know? And and Donatello's
Yeah.
like, "What?" And then April's like, "They mean you're
He's
afraid of
afraid of
enclosed
small
spaces."
spaces.
And
Yeah.
he's like, "Oh, I'm not afraid of anything."
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I don't need to take this," and he goes up to sleep in the truck.
Yep.
But
Yep.
but again, it's like everything that happens in this screenplay happens for a reason. That
Mhm.
happens because Casey needs to be out there so he can see Danny escaping,
Yes.
and going back to the Foot Clan, and so Casey can follow him there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which why does he go back to the Foot Clan?
I think he goes
I don't
back
remember.
to try to help Splinter,
Yeah, that's
and
right. Yeah, I think he does. Yeah.
because Casey catches him, and he's like, "They're gonna kill Splinter," and then
Yeah.
Casey's like, Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's right. They're there, and then they're getting Splinter off, and then this is when Casey Jones has the confrontation with the, henchman guy. Right, isn't
Yeah.
that right? Isn't that when this
Yeah, and he
happened?
kinda gets beat up, but then and I just remember this so well as a kid
Yeah.
that, like, he lands in a pile of stolen
Yes.
goods, and he
Of
sees
boxes.
of
Just, like,
boxes, and he's
random big boxes. Yeah.
and I love that, like, the implication here is that, like, Casey Jones's superpower is if you give him anything that's just,
Yeah.
like, from a sport, like a hockey
Yeah.
stick or a cricket
Yeah.
bat or a baseball bat or even a golf
Golf
club,
club.
what
Yep.
if it's a thing from a sport, Casey Jones can beat the crap out of you with it. And
Yeah. Which
and
all of them could very well be used to murder people.
yeah, and so Casey Jones turns around and drives this guy, like, through a fence, and
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't think you can hit a human being into the air with a driver. I think the
Well,
driver would
yeah, they would
yeah,
die,
yeah,
but,
but
yeah, they also wouldn't go through the air.
also, I think the driver would just, like, break. Like, if you hit a
Yeah.
person in the face with the driver.
Yeah, it would
Yeah,
bend. Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
But yeah, I always liked that as a kid, and because I just like the character Casey Jones.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then, yeah, we have kind of the Shredder freaks out, and he sends all of the Foot Clan into the
Well, and
sewers.
this is when they're walking out, this is when Splinter is like, "This is not your family."
Yeah,
Like, "Family does not," and then this is when Sam Rockwell, like, gives his little speech of like, "This is our family." Like, whatever
yeah.
he says.
Casey Jones goes, "This right here,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
family, that down there is family."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
uh-huh,
Great, great performance,
yeah,
and then yeah, and then Shredder gets really mad and he sends everybody to their hideout. But they were this is like they knew that they were coming, right? So then
mhm.
we have this big fight scene where which I love this that again that all the Foot Clan are like jumping into the sewers and like sliding through
It's
like the
awesome.
street gutters and they're
And
like,
as a kid, every time I saw one of those street gutters that
me too.
I thought about the Foot Clan. I thought about, like, sliding into the
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll just go slide in there, go to the sewers, and go find the turtles. Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when you're a kid growing up in the '90s with these movies, every time you see a manhole cover, you're like, "The Ninja Turtles are down there."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude. We remember we had a manhole right outside our
Oh,
house,
yeah.
and I mean, we would drop, those little spinners, like
Yeah,
the flower
we would throw
flower flower
fireworks
bombs
in
or
there, and we
whatever.
would
Yeah.
look at for the Ninja Turtles. We'd be like, "Are
Yeah.
the" we'd be like,
It was
"Can
like,
you"
dude, you could see it, like, you could see down in there, and you could see it
Yeah,
was a place you could fit. Anyway, yeah, we would
yeah,
always do that.
yeah.
Just looked like there was poop down there, but
Yeah, and I was thinking about that a lot watching this movie, like, when Casey Jones and
yeah.
April O'Neil are walking through the, like, water in
Yeah.
the sewer,
Water.
I was like, "You guys, don't put your feet in that."
Yeah, don't touch that
Come
water
on.
with anything. Yeah.
Yeah, but now we have, like, the big final 3rd act fight with the
Yes.
Turtles and the Foot Clan. I will say that for how good a lot of the fight scenes are and action sequences are in this movie, this one is a little anticlimactic because I think
It
it
is.
doesn't it's supposed to be the one where they, like, overcome and they win, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't quite have as much as
Well,
you want it
I agree, I
to
agree.
have.
It ends poorly,
Yeah.
but I do love the build up to it because they go up to the building, they beat up all these Foot Clan members, and then the Shredder, like, he just, like I mean, they do him in slow motion, but it's almost like he's gliding down,
Yeah.
and he comes down with his pole, and each one of them tries to hit the Shredder. But they can't. They can't land anything. They can't do anything. And I feel like that little section is really, really good
Yep.
because they can't like they keep trying like one of it, like who wants to go next? And like, you know,
Shredder feels supernatural in
he
this movie.
does. And
He feels more than human.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is what it's so it's like really cool that they can't beat him, but
Also,
then they
it always bothered me that they go one at a time. I hate the one at a time
yeah,
thing.
one at a time thing.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
I
team
think again,
I feel like the answer should be like, we're stronger as a team. We need to fight
yeah.
him together, you
I
know?
I think yes, I agree. I think honestly you could if the movie is made today, I think the constraints of the suits is probably one of the reasons why they couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Like trying to choreograph 4 people in suits fighting 1 person in a suit. Like if you were doing it today, first of all, if you're making a Ninja Turtles movie today, please make it with suits.
Yeah.
And maybe like supplement with some VFX, but like just make them in suits. But I think if you're doing it today, you could basically like have all 4 of them going after him at once, and he could still beat them in that way, right? It'd be a
Yeah.
very, very cool sequence that you could do. But
Heroku Saki.
yeah, then Splinter comes up
Yeah,
and he's like, he's like, "Throw your weapons," right? So they have to throw their weapons over the edge,
because
and the nunchuck.
he's got Leonardo pinned to the ground, and he's got his
Right.
spear and again, this is a moment where he's like, "I'm going to stab your brother in the
Yeah.
throat with
Yeah.
this spear." Like, this
Yeah.
movie is so much darker than the second or third one even get
Yeah.
close to being. Like,
Yeah.
and you really feel the weight of it, that it's like he's going to do it. And
Yeah.
when they throw their weapons away, like, I always as a kid was like, "Oh, no." Like, don't
Yeah.
like,
"Don't throw away your weapons." Yeah.
yeah, um,
And they throw him, and the nunchuck gets caught
yeah, on the ladder.
ladder. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they bring up Splinter, and they have their confrontation, and you find out that Orokusaki is Shredder, and that's who killed his master when he
But
was a
this is
baby
also,
rat.
like, this reveal of Shredder taking his mask off and having
Yeah.
these scars across his face, like,
Yeah.
it just all, like, it works. It's
I
cool.
know, it
It
does.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then this is the part that really kinda sucks because he goes, "Ah!" And he
Yeah.
just runs after Splinter with his spear, and I'm like,
Yeah,
why are you doing that?"
it's funny that Shredder is, like, so good at fighting, and then when he fights Splinter, he's just, like, terrible. I
Yeah.
mean, he's j
Yeah, he does the worst thing possible, and Splinter, like, wraps the nunchuck around the spear and throws him over the edge, which
Mhm.
again, I think this is just a Splinter was a puppet. He wasn't a person in a suit, so they could only do so much. But
Right.
he's holding Shredder over the edge and trying to get him up, and then he just like doesn't Splinter just like let go of the spear or
Well,
something? Or
what happens is, it's something Splinter doesn't let him go. It's like the Shredder does something that makes
that's right. He like yeah,
he, like, tries to, like, stab, and it makes the spear, but then he
yeah.
falls, and yeah, I just again, like, the sound of his voice is just it that
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
um,
He falls down into a
but
dump truck.
this is crazy. He falls into a dump truck, and then Casey Jones crushes him in the dump truck, and you see his helmet, which,
Yeah,
presumably is his head being crushed by this thing, and it's like, that's
yeah.
crazy to put in a kid's movie.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
straight up Casey Jones murders Shredder. So,
just squashes the guy like a
yeah.
grape,
Of course he
and
doesn't, because there's a second one,
he comes
but yeah,
back in the second one,
yeah.
and again, the Shredder is immediately just not even an intimidating character at all in the second movie. He's a full-on cartoon character, and Super Shredder at the end, like, I was waiting for the entire movie, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm excited to see Super Shredder," and then I saw it, and I was like, "That I can't believe how bad that looks." It's so stupid. He's, like, wearing a shirt that has, like, painted on muscles, and also,
Yeah.
like, the thing about Super Shredder, I just wanna talk about Super Shredder here for a second, is he takes the ooze, right? And all of the
Yeah.
spikes that are on his costume just become more spikes, and I'm like, "That doesn't make any sense. Those are just why those wouldn't change because of the ooze.
Yep.
They're not a part of his body. Like, they're like, his suit, just like his helmet, just, like, has more spikes on it, and his shoulder pads have more spikes, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Because he drank ooze, would his clothes sprout more spikes? Like, that does
Hey.
and then his shirt has, like, painted on abs that are very clearly painted on, and it's like, what? Like, it just looks terrible, and
Yeah. It was
yeah.
very yeah, I remember. I mean, I gotta watch Secret of the Ooze again because
Oh,
I also love that movie, but yeah.
and then the climax of that movie is terrible 'cause, like, it's like Super
He just like,
Shredder's here,
"Oh,"
and
yeah,
then he basically just collapses a dock on top of himself and
yeah.
just kills himself, and it's like, "Okay." It's
That's
like
again, like, the same with the ending of this movie and with
yeah,
Secret of the Ooze.
yeah,
I always remember being very disappointed,
yeah, it just
and that
feels
one was
like
very, very
it
disappointing.
feels like the showdown with Shredder, it's built up to be like, "Oh, man, this is gonna be really hard," and then and then Splinter just kinda kills him in, like, a really easy way,
Yeah.
and Shredder, it's just all of a sudden becomes dumb and bad at fighting,
Yeah,
and it's just but again, it's like, maybe this is just sort of a budget constraint that it's like
probably,
that
yeah.
I think this is probably the weakest thing in this movie structurally is that the finale sequence doesn't hit with as much force as you want it to
Yeah.
based on, like, they lost bad in the midpoint action
Yeah.
sequences, which is the
Yeah.
best action sequence in the movie,
Yeah.
and you want them to kinda come back stronger, and I mean, they win, but, like, you just want I
Yeah.
think you sort of want something a little more satisfying.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
It really does. And then kind of everything works out after that. They do the, oh, all four of them do the high five
Yeah, and
at
we
the
have
end.
somewhere
And
in there, "God, I love being a turtle!"
no!
Yeah,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
exactly.
Yeah, and they all high five and,
Yeah.
Casey Jones and April O'Neil kiss,
Yeah.
there's, like, again, like, I think that the actors that are doing these scenes do a good job. Like,
They
I
do.
think that
Yeah.
the chemistry between Casey and April, like, they play it well,
Oh,
and
and then Danny has the meetup with his father, which
yeah,
again gets a payoff, and he's like,
yeah,
he has that payoff of all fathers care about their sons, right? And
yep.
so we
He
have
get
that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a good little payoff emotionally in that sense.
And that's the movie. That's
Yeah,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990. I don't even think I said that at the beginning of the episode, but they'll be able to see
that's all
it.
right. Yeah,
And yeah, and nobody came back for the sequel except for the guy who plays
the police
police
chief.
chief.
Yeah,
And I get why they didn't. The sequel has a terrible script, and it's a much worse. But like, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'd say go watch the movie if you haven't watched it in a while and see if we have our
yeah.
nostalgia glasses on. But I'm like, this movie works weirdly well.
It does, and
Yeah.
definitely have nostalgia glasses on, but you can't deny that it works better than every other movie that they've made. I guess I shouldn't say every other. I need to see the other ones, but
I've got nostalgia glasses for Secret of the Ooze, and it's bad. It's really bad. So that made
yeah,
me it
yeah,
made me feel like,
yeah,
okay, yeah, all right. I
yeah,
think the first one actually is like
yeah.
kind of impressive.
Uh-huh.
So let's get into scores.
Okay.
What's your technical rating for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990?
All right. My technical rating. Oops, my screen is going crazy. My technical rating is I'm okay. My technical rating is a 6.5. I'm trying to be more like thinking critically about this.
Okay.
I mean, again, they did really, really well with making suits and like the production design, the cinematography, and all that. And I'm being more critical of it, uh, and because the structure is a little bit off, and some of the lines are not the best, and it also there's some things. So I'm giving it a lower score of a 6.5, and I don't know if I should be doing that, but that's what I did. What's your technical score?
Listen, I'm giving it an 8
All
technically.
right, nice.
Here's my thing about this movie is I think that the level of difficulty of what they're pulling off is kind of miraculous. Like it
Yes.
just has no business working as well as it does, and I think that's all a testament to the craft, to the
Yeah,
technical craft that like
yeah,
the director understood with his director of photography how to shoot this, how to light this. The fight choreography for the most part is pretty cool, and like they had to be creative with these suits, and
mhm,
these suits for the most part work pretty well. The performances are all like weirdly good,
yeah,
and then the balance of the tones for the most part in the
yeah,
film works, and I feel like the production design is all like top notch. The casting is all really great. The atmosphere of the film, it just has some kind of tactile je ne sais quoi that's
yeah,
like
yeah,
really, and I think, gosh, to know it was made for $13 million is so impressive. So I'm
yeah.
just really impressed technically with what this movie manages to accomplish.
Yes, and I agree. I again, I'm trying to take my emotion out of it,
Yeah,
of like, because all of those things are extremely impressive, which go into my subjective score
yeah.
of the love of it, but just more the technical side of it. But also, yeah, they're working with some constraints, so it does need to be a 7. I'll change it to a 7.
And how about the ending?
The ending, I am going to stick with this. I gave it a 6.5 because it is disappointing. That fight scene between Shredder, as we just talked about, wish it could have been better because it's so good with the turtles, and then he just falls over the edge.
Yeah,
It's kind of like, I just doesn't feel as satisfying as I want it to be.
yeah.
So yeah.
It's not. I mean, him getting squished in the garbage truck
Yeah.
is kinda satisfying, and I
Yeah.
always felt that as a kid, like, that's
Oh
kinda
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, the fight itself and the sort of the action sequence itself just doesn't quite have the, like, hit that you want it to have. I'm giving it a
Right.
6.52 because it's still just I think my whole life, as much as I like this movie, I always felt a little unfulfilled at the end there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and always felt like the Splinter puppet doing the deed didn't really sell for me as much as some
Yeah.
of the other stuff does.
Yeah.
How about rewatchability?
Rewatchability, I gave a 7. There's a
Mhm.
lot again, even looking back now, thinking about this movie 35 years later, like the fact that that you can look at it and appreciate everything that they did to get this movie made. And I think that kind of goes into it. And it's also there's a lot of fun in it. It's only an hour and a half. I think this is bumped up because of the nostalgia thing. Like I remember it and I go back to being a kid and thinking about doing all these things. So I like rewatching it. I think it's good.
Yeah, me too. I give it a 7.5 for the rewatch. I
Nice.
always enjoy coming back to this movie. It's really easy and breezy to watch. I
Yeah.
also just think that like if you're going to watch a Ninja Turtles movie, this is the one to watch.
Yeah.
If you're going to for whatever reason sit down and watch a Ninja Turtles movie, like this is the one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's an easy watch and it's a surprisingly like not half bad movie. Like I
Yeah.
definitely have the nostalgia factor, but I also think even with the
Yeah.
nostalgia factor, there's a lot that just works here on a pure nuts and bolts level
It does.
that I always manage to enjoy watching it and
Mhm.
I'm always like surprised as an adult when I watch it how well it works. I'm always like, man,
Yeah.
this movie really holds up.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you feel about the cultural significance of this film?
All right. Cultural impact or the cultural significance. I don't think there's any other score that I could give it other than a 10. This movie, I mean, like we were saying, like we between us, we probably had every Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy that there was. And like I kind of hit myself because I look at how much they sell for on online and I'm like, man, I had that one. I had that one. Austin had that one. Like it was all the impact that it had on us, the impact that it still has today. I mean, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was, they made another movie. They made Mutant Mayhem and they've made they made the movies in 2014 and all those, and there's TV shows and there's still still toys being sold, and it's a big moneymaker for Nickelodeon. Like it still has this huge impact today and it just stays around. So
Yeah, I gave it a 9 for pretty much the same reason, where it's just like the cultural impact of this film is huge. 35 years later, it's still the best one that they've ever made. And it still is like the reason for the proliferation of the franchise. Like the
yeah,
amount of money that has been made on this property that would not have been made without this movie and without this movie
yeah,
being as good as it is.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like it can't be overstated. So
yeah,
maybe I should give it a 10, but I gave it a
yeah,
9.
it's fine either way.
Um, and subjective score.
My subjective score is an 8. I think this is a great movie. It's a lot of fun. I think that all the other emotional stuff that comes with it, the nostalgia really makes it more fun for me. And then just also the guts that they had to make a movie with suits. Like you can't I don't think that could be overstated because they were thinking of all these ways that they could do it. They were originally going to have it be like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where it was going to be like cartoons, like they were going to be cartoons, which I'm
Mhm.
wonder what that would be like. But
Yeah.
they went for it, and Jim Henson was able to make these amazingly iconic suits that still look better than anything else that they've done. And it's just a fun movie. Like we said, it works surprisingly well in all the different areas.
Yeah, my subjective score is also an 8. Like, yeah, there's the nostalgia thing. I just love everything. When I was a kid, I loved everything about this movie, all of like the
Yeah,
art. I love April's drawings of the turtles.
yeah,
I love the poster of this movie, like
yeah,
the manhole that's opening and their faces poking out.
yeah,
Love
yeah,
that. Like it's just
yep,
like the color of the VHS,
yeah,
I love the colors of the film. I love the way that their headbands look and bunch
yep,
around their eyes.
yep.
I just there's so much about this movie that I just really, really enjoy. And even to
Mhm.
this day, I love what a weird movie it is. I
Yes,
love that
yeah,
it's such a bizarre, weird, strange, out there concept, and it's so what's so interesting to me about the film is the way that they make it feel not that weird. That like
Yeah.
you just the fact that you kind of buy in.
Yeah.
And they do such a good job with the human actors and the human storylines. And this is again just another thing that's really, really lacking in the other movies is the human characters are just sort of
Yeah.
like nothing. Like they don't really matter. And they're just and again, like you lose Casey Jones in the sequel altogether. You don't even recast him. Like he's such a
Yeah.
great character.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just everything about this first movie is great to me. And
Yeah.
there's every time I watch it, there's still stuff that I like giggle at that's like not that doesn't quite that's a little clunky or that doesn't
Yeah.
quite, but it's
Yeah.
like, geez, what more do you want out of a
I know.
movie like this, you know?
Yeah, really.
So
Great movie. It's a great movie.
great movie, indeed. Did you watch it with us? What do you think? Do you remember the movie? Did you watch it growing up? Have you ever was this your first time seeing it? Are you like a Gen Zer?
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is, and you didn't know about the what we had cooking in 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know in the comments. Like, share, comment, subscribe, tell people about the show, spread the word.
Yeah.
Help us out. What are we watching next week, Kramer?
We are watching Magnolia.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so a
Yeah.
lot of people were the movie Weapons, which we just did an episode on. A lot of people were sort of comparing Weapons to Magnolia, and we were thinking, what should we do? There's not a lot in theaters right now. Paul Thomas Anderson has a new movie coming out in a couple weeks called
Yep.
One Battle After Another. So we thought, let's go and look at an old Paul Thomas Anderson movie. So we're watching Magnolia because Weapons just happened and One Battle After Another is coming up. So we thought that'll be a nice, and hey, we've been doing a lot of Tom Cruise, so we might as well look at one of his most iconic roles. So
Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia next week if you
Yes.
want to watch along with the show, and we'll see
Yeah, and I
you.
I have not seen it, so this will be fun.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts, and I'm
I'm
excited
very
to
excited. Yeah.
yeah, it I'll tell you this, without spoiling anything, it gets wacky, this movie. It gets
Okay,
really
good.
wild. It
All
gets
right.
really wild. Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Excited.
Cool. I'll see you next week then. And we'll
Cool.
see you all next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.